it's new, has it not?
That's right. Oh, we're moving. Oh,
we're going somewhere else. Oh well.
when you make a start, Jim. So can look after this. Come on, then Blanta.
Film us when we start. Do you mind if folk don't want to be filmed, you don't film them if they talk? Is that all right?
Listen, of course.
Right.
If they'd said, see the lassie on Friday, if she'd said, she was there before you. There was a lassie who wanted to ask a question
on Shawlands. How do you know about that? Were you in Shawlands?
Oh, I'm doing Shawlands. You tell me.
You following me around?
You tell me, aye.
Oh, yeah.
You tell me, well, when I get a day off, I'm only rained off today. So, aye.
No, that's the question.
If she had asked, she was there before we started. There were 5 cameras. If she'd asked then, I'm going to ask a question, don't film me. Nobody would have filmed her.
Why is there something protesting?
Aye.
So what are you filming it all for? What is that intended about?
It makes some great YouTube stuff, mate. It really does. The numbers, the viewing numbers are huge. Absolutely huge. Aye.
No, a wee bit of a close-up.
About your badge.
I have to say though,
when you make a stab, Jim, come on. Come look next.
I admire you for coming out. Because we kind of get our local MPs to come out.
No, I mean, where's Frank?
Frank's working.
I know, he put a hammer at the glow centre. An absolute hammer.
Telling me that.
Watch yourself, don't get run over.
And his only words were, my wife told me I shouldn't have came here the night.
No hell. Just stay local.
Aye.
What about yourself?
Cleland. Aye, we're Cleland.
I'm Motherwell.
Oh, is that right?
Aye.
You know, 2 cameras, 1 house?
Yeah.
What's that nice? We're going to start it now.
Go on, get to the man's question. Answer the question, James.
Why don't you ask me that when we get started? I'll start. Aye, okay.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Siobhan McMahon. I'm the MSP for Central Scotland, representing the Labour Party. And we're here today with John Murphy, MP, who's coming along to tell us why we are better together, why we should be part of the United Kingdom. So if you want to come across and listen to him, it won't take very long. You won't be rude on, I promise. What we're going to do is, it's 4 weeks today. 4 weeks today until we make that decision about the referendum. Should we stay as part of the United Kingdom? Should we become a separate country? And some of you will still have questions. You still have been undecided about what it will mean for you and your family. Will we have the same currency? Will our health service still be the same? We've seen the headlines today about the oil. What are the answers to that? If you've got questions about that, you have many, many undecided questions, and Jim will try and answer all of those, and that's what we're trying to do today. But for me, we are better together. Should remain part of the United Kingdom, and that's not because I believe that the Tory government down south is doing the right thing for the people of Scotland. Of course I don't believe that. As someone who has grown up in Belfast,
crowd's only as good as Edinburgh's yesterday.
I know what the Tories have done to this area, and I am a child of Thatcher. I grew up.
Not quite the Edinburgh crowds for yesterday, Jim.
So we don't need to go back to history lessons and see what's happened. We all know what's happened, but we want the best future for our children, and we believe the best future is to be part of a strong United Kingdom with a Labour government both at Westminster and in Scotland. So I'll pass you on to Jim Murphy now, who, as I said, will answer your questions. So come along and ask.
You need to video all these crowds.
As many questions as you want from him. There isn't a question that you should be afraid to ask. If you're undecided, you should be able to ask those questions. And for those that have made up their minds, you can also ask the questions. But what we ask is to do it in a polite and respectful manner, as has happened across Lanarkshire. and I hope it's another warm welcome for Jim here in Wishaw.
Thanks, guys. Well, thanks, Siobhan. Hello, I'm Jim Murphy, local Member of Parliament, campaigning with Siobhan McMahon as local MSP, as part of the campaign to keep Scotland in the United Kingdom. And what happens is myself, Siobhan and others just turn up in street corners and we talk to passers-by in the Wishaw rain. And it's part of trying to convince people to stay part of the United Kingdom. Now, obviously I'm a Labour politician and we're out campaigning in favour of the patriotic case to remain part of the United Kingdom. Now, of course, this is the biggest decision we're ever going to take in the referendum. Hello, I'm Jim Murphy, Member of Parliament for the Labour Party. This is the biggest decision we're ever going to take as a country. Nothing we've ever decided before, and nothing we decide subsequently will ever be as important as this. It's so important. The election. It's so important that I heard from the nationalists, the Yes campaign. They're probably around filming me wherever I go. Who needs to bring my own camera when I get these folks who spend more time following me than people in my own campaign? But that's absolutely fine. And hopefully they agree. If you've got a question to ask, they won't film you. Ask me the question. Hi folks, I'm Jim Murphy, Member of Parliament for the Labour Party. We're out campaigning because the referendum's less than a month away. And we're trying to make sure that everyone has the information they need to make a decision in the referendum. Clearly I'm campaigning for a no vote in the referendum. Like most Scots, I'm comfortable with patriotically Scottish first, but I'm also comfortable with part of that identity of also being British. Fiercely patriotically Scottish above all else, but also comfortable in being British. So in this referendum, I can't hear you, sorry. You know who you vote for, who is it?
Oh, you.
Alright, okay. I'm not standing, but I'm glad. It's Frank Roy I want you to vote for in the future. You must be joking, the lady says here. Why do you say that, madam?
Because Frank Roy is not on the constituents.
Frank Roy.
Yes, he and Pamela Nash and Jim and John Pedlin have all been invited to come and debate in Motherwell.
Well, do you know Frank Roy is no, he's that as well. He's also a good friend of mine. We see each other every fortnight in the East End of Glasgow at a certain football ground. And Frank, do you know what? I know you won't vote for Frank, and you don't have to. Of course you don't. But Frank Roy has got a majority that he has here in Motherwell and Wishaw because of the work that he does in Motherwell and Wishaw, as does John Pentland. I think they're both great members of Parliament and members of the Scottish Parliament. But you know what? You get a chance to vote for Frank or against Frank in next year's general election. This is much more important than a general election. This is about history. It's about the entire future of our country. It's more important than any individual. It's more important than any general election. It's more important than anything we've ever decided before or anything we'll decide in the future. Now I'm maybe getting a wee bit of bother in saying this, but Frank Roy is temporary. I'm temporary. David Cameron's temporary. Even, believe it or not, despite what Alex Salmond thinks, Alex Salmond is temporary. I mean, a remarkable revelation that Alex may even be temporary. But this is permanent. Independence is permanent. There's no going back. There's no second chances. You can't take it back to the shop if you don't like it. If it doesn't fit, you can't take it back. There's no try before you buy independence. And that's why we have to be absolutely sure about the decision that we take on the 18th of September. So my argument isn't about our past. The reason why I want you to go out and vote no thanks isn't because of our history. It isn't because of the remarkable our country has achieved in the past. It's because of what we can do in the future.
There was 4 questions asked, never answered any of them.
Wales and Northern Ireland together in a difficult and complicated world. What sense does it do leaving the United Kingdom Surely 4 countries sticking together is much more secure. We can be more prosperous. We can create more wealth and distribute that wealth in the future. Now, why haven't we? The lady says, why haven't we? Why we're not doing it at the moment is because we have a Tory government. And that's why we got a Tory government. You know what? We can replace. Madam, you've just turned up with a flag. Madam, you've just turned up. Let other people who have been here throughout give a bit better heckle. You've just turned up with my flag, with your slogan.
Why are you threatening people? It's on kidney transplant list, blood donation list. It's a disgrace. My brother's starting that.
Madam, you just turned up. Madam, you turned up. You've turned up 15 seconds ago. You've turned up 15 seconds ago and said things I haven't even said. Everyone who's here knows I haven't said any of the things that you've just alluded to. I'm delighted that you're here. I tell you what, why don't one of us talk at a time? Why don't one of us talk at a time? I'll say what I've got to say, and if you've got a question, well, let's hear your question in a couple of minutes. But you turn up here and you kind of turn up with my flag, with your slogan. I don't mind what your slogan. It's my flag. It's all of our flags. And you know what? You know what? The idea that I'm threatening you in any sense of, look, this patriotism. We're all patriots. We all want what's best for our country. The fact is, we all want what's best for our country. This isn't a contest. The gentleman there shouts freedom, sir, and then you walk away. This isn't a Mel Gibson. Sir, you're not Mel Gibson. You know, it isn't a rerun of some kind of Braveheart. How do I know? You don't look anything like Mel Gibson. The fact is, this isn't a rerun of Braveheart. This isn't Braveheart in some kind of repeat loop. This is about the future of all of our families, the future of our country, the destiny of our nation.
This is great.
Please, we agree on that. I will, madam. In a couple of minutes, and you first.
There's not been a question yet.
Because you were first here. You were here before me. And you'll go first. And then, sir, you second, because you were also here before me. And this lady will be third or fourth. You will both here first. Look, my argument is there's nowhere better than Scotland. Nowhere better than Scotland. But there is something bigger. And being part of the United Kingdom can give us strength, can give us influence, and can make us more prosperous. But it isn't about constitutions. Those who say changing your constitution will end poverty. It's an ignorance about our history. It's an ambivalence of international events. Passports don't end poverty. Changing your nationality doesn't change your income. The idea that a passport has ever put a penny in the poor part of the purse of a poor person in this country or anywhere else in the world is entirely wrong. It's about changing our future. It's about changing our life chances, not about changing our nationality. And there's a way of getting a fairer country. There's a way of getting a sense of social justice. And it isn't about changing your nationality. It's about changing our government. The last Labour government cut child poverty by more than any country in the world. The last Labour government introduced tax credits for working families. The last Labour government introduced tax allowances for pensioners. Remarkable achievements, enormous achievements. Of course we could still have done more. Of course we could still want to drive out more inequality so that people have that equal chance in life. But the idea that by breaking away from Britain makes us automatically richer. The idea of breaking away from Britain, I mean, it's hard, if you just keep shouting, it's hard to sense just what all your shouts are. But the idea that changing your passport and madam, can I just tell you, it's entirely, you can shout me as much as you want, but my experience is that undecided voters walking by look at the folk who are screaming and shouting from the Yes campaign, and that just puts people off. So you shout as much as you want, and the undecided voters walking past will come to a sense that the quiet, patriotic majority won't be silenced and won't be intimidated by the noisy nationalist minority. So we're all going to have our say in this campaign, and we're all going to have a say, and we're all going to have a vote. I'll finish by making this sentiment. I want to change our country. I'm a Labour member. I'm a socialist. I'm a Democrat. I want... Which one of those am I not, madam?
You're not a socialist.
You're not a socialist, Jim.
But madam, the lady says there, I'm not a socialist. As if it's for you to decide, madam, what my politics are. Madam, the lady says, I'm voting with the Tories. You know what? On this one issue, the Labour Party, the Tory Party, and the Liberal Democrats have got a similar view. And rather than pretending that we disagree, we just decided, you know, on this one thing is of such importance that we're going to campaign on the same side. We can pretend we disagree, but this is of such historic importance, we're on the same side. And then you say, that makes me a Tory. Do you know what? The Scottish Communist Party is campaigning for a no vote. That doesn't make you a communist any more than it makes me a Tory. Alex Salmond isn't a communist because the Scottish Communist Party is campaigning for a no vote, and because the Tory Party is campaigning for a no vote, does that mean that I'm in some way a Tory? Of course not. When the Scottish Communist Party is campaigning for yes, that doesn't mean the yes campaign communist. So I'll let you go to the first question. So I'll finish by saying this.
Where are the questions?
Vote for change.
Where are the questions?
As a Labour Member of Parliament, I want to get rid of our useless government in Edinburgh. I want rid of our useless government. I want rid of our useless government in London. I want maximum change.
Where are the questions,
Jim? About
Jim?
changing your passport, and it isn't about changing your nationality. Vote no on the 18th of September. Vote to give the Scottish Parliament more powers. Vote to have the best of both worlds. A strong Scottish Parliament inside the United Kingdom. To most of you who have listened to what I've got to say, I want to say thank you. To the 2 or 3 who've spent the entire time shouting, I also want to say thank you. It adds to, you haven't, of course you haven't, sir. It adds to the sense of theatre, and it adds to the sense that there is a minority who just want to shout the other side down.
Jim, you told Ponsonby you like tackling. You told Ponsonby you like tackling.
But what happens in different parts of the country and hasn't happened here today, and that's a good thing, is that when I go around the country they say, Jim, you're a traitor. Jim, you don't believe in Scotland.
You're a quisling.
Oh, here we are. I'm a quisling. Do you know what? A quisling. Does anyone of us, can I peculiar word? It means a collaborator.
Correct. That's
here we have
Jim the Quisling.
The authentic voice of Scottish nationalism. Stop. Madam, you said, you and your friends here said I'm a collaborator. The idea, a collaborator with what? Who am I a collaborator with? Oh, hold on. I'm responding to this point. These 4 or 5 ladies all shout, I'm a collaborator. You know what? It's a shameful thing to say about a fellow Scot. We're all patriots. We all want what's best for our country. But this noisy nationalist minority don't want to hear the argument for the No Thanks campaign. They call you a traitor. They call you a quisling. As if only they have the right to speak. Only they have a right to believe in Scotland. If for any other reason you're unconvinced about voting no, surely the political intolerance of people who call you a traitor, who call you a quisling, who call you a collaborator, because you have the audacity to be a patriot, not a nationalist, and want to vote a different way. Say no thanks to independence. Say no thanks to the political intolerance that calls those of us who are campaigning for no traitors, collaborators and quislings. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Answer a question, Jim.
No, you're not first. You're in the back of the queue. You call me a traitor. You call me a collaborator. You call me a collaborator. You're the back of the queue. The lady here. You've got a list of questions. I'm looking forward to them. We're going to do one at a time. Is that okay?
I watched your interview last night.
The sun is shining now. It's stopped raining. On you go.
I watched your interview last night on television where you were saying that you enjoyed the head of the Hudsons. And I thought, oh, goodness.
Right, absolutely.
Right, now, you said also yes voters, excuse me, Mr. She doesn't mind moving it. Excuse me?
Ridiculous, each to their own.
Just move those questions answered.
That's it. I'm just trying to make sure we have both. On you.
You also said in that same interview that the yes voters were going about spreading lies and misinformation.
Of course.
Can you give me one example of
Absolutely,
that?
no problem.
Give me one example.
Thank you.
Can I finish? No, one more.
Okay.
You're saying you're not a collaborator. So why did you and your party vote in favour of the welfare reforms of the Tory Lib Dem coalition?
I'll answer it. But can you tell me, who am I a collaborator with?
The Tories.
You know,
Who else is it?
you know what?
Who else are you collaborating with?
It undermines. See the folk who are voting yes. I mean, the fact is, they once stood for a noble idea. They claimed they stood for a kind of noble idea. The idea of making the intellectual case for a separate Scotland, and they've descended into name calling, slaying and lying.
Nobody's name calling, Jim.
It's all of us.
Nobody's name calling.
All of us have been collaborators, have been quislings, and in other places to be accused of being traitors. It's an embarrassment to the campaign.
Jim, could you answer the lady's question?
And the lady asked the question earlier.
You're not answering the question.
What was on the television and arguments that I made back and forward in the television, said, come up with one lie that the Yes campaign has come up with. Do you know, the Yes campaign have spent 2 years trying to convince patriots to become nationalists, and they've failed to turn patriotic Scots, the majority, into nationalists. So what they are now doing is trying to scare patriotic Scots into being yes voters, because what they're telling you is, if you vote no, the NHS will be privatised. That is one big fat lie. The biggest deceit since devolution. And you know what? The terrible thing about this lie is the SNP know it's a lie. The SNP know it's a lie. And for clever people, hold on, I'm answering your question and you get back. Madam, you and I have a different view. You and I have different answers to these things. There's no answer I can give that would convince you to vote no. But yeah, you will not say. But the Yes campaign and the SNP have said, if you vote no, the NHS will be privatised. It is the biggest lie since the devolution has been introduced. The SNP
talks about democracy, but nobody else can talk. Nobody else are allowed to talk.
It's a disgrace. It's a deceit. But they're so desperate to win the vote, they're trying to scare people who are worried about their health, who are worried about the future, into voting yes. It's a scurrilous scare story, and no one believes it. What would you like to say?
On you go, Jim boy.
Why are the people in England out in the street marching to save their NHS? Why?
Because, like Scots, the English, the Welsh, the Northern Irish celebrate the human miracle that is the National Health Service. That's the question. But the idea that if you vote no, the idea that if you're voting no, you're voting for the privatisation of the NHS is ludicrous. And the SNP know it's ludicrous. They're embarrassing themselves. What happens in the House of Commons on the NHS affects England. It doesn't even affect Wales, and it certainly doesn't affect Scotland. Health is devolved to the Scottish Parliament. This is an argument that was relevant in a sec. This is an argument that was relevant before devolution. The fact is, we have a Scottish Parliament. The Scottish Parliament decides what happens in health. This is a remarkable lie for a desperate campaign for the moment they are losing. Do you know what? What David Cameron decides in the House of Commons doesn't even apply in Wales. It doesn't apply in Scotland. It's a remarkable dishonesty and deceit. But I'm going to ask someone else to ask a question unless you want another go. I promise you. You are independent.
They keep saying they're better together. I want them to prove. Give me one reason why they're better together. And Ralph was gone. He wasn't there, but his party voted in favour of them.
Right, okay.
Okay? So that's all I wanted to speak about.
So you're voting?
Okay.
I'm voting
The
yes.
gentleman, okay, the gentleman, what's your name? Oh,
Welfare system has been abused big time.
Tom asked an entirely fair question, and he hasn't spent the last half hour shouting at me, so I'm going to try and just have a conversation with you, Tom. Yeah, of course. Look, man, I'm talking to this man now, okay? And so you've got a yes badge in your hat, so I'm assuming I'm not going to change your mind, but I'm going to, of course. No, of course, but look. Yeah.
Yes, all the way.
Why can't, okay. Alright, the gentleman, Tom asked a subsequent question. I'm not going to go back over the NHS thing.
Why not?
The only way, because I've already answered it, the way that I'll come to the side, you're at the end of the queue. You're at the end of the queue. For calling me a collaborator, you're at the end of the queue.
That's me demoted.
The gentleman asked, Tom asked about poverty and food banks. Surely we all. Hiya. I thought you said you were a kind of pleasant nationalist. You asked me earlier if we become independent and we still get a full English breakfast in the You can have both. You can have the English breakfast or Scottish breakfast. I don't really mind. You
With that all day long.
must be on your Scottish breakfast. That's okay. Look, I'm going to talk about that.
Again?
You're doing well. Tom asked about poverty and food banks and wealth. Surely we all want a country free of food banks, and we all want a country where wealth is evenly distributed. I mean, that's why most of us in the Labour Party got involved in politics in the first place. It's never been about flags or borders or independence. That's for the SNP traditionally. Now, I want a world free of food banks. You want it as well, Tom. And there's an honest disagreement about how you do it. I happen to believe in a sense of solidarity, and by sticking together you can change these things. I don't. You and I disagree. I'm answering Tom's question, but the idea that you somehow by creating and separating away from
Yeah. This is how it was on Friday. Won't answer a question.
This isn't about constitutions. This isn't about constitutions. It's about economics and politics. And the gentleman here says, who's in power in Scotland?
And he's no answered any of them.
It's not the Labour Party that's in power in Scotland.
No.
It's the SNP that's in power in Scotland. And the SNP have presided over things like cuts in further education, college places.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense, Jack.
You know what? They all said they weren't nationalists.
Sorry, pal.
They scream and shout when I even offer a mild criticism of the SNP. They have cut places in further education colleges for students in Motherwell and Wishaw. If you move out of the way to let this gentleman by, I'm just answering Tom's
The lady there won't pass a pram.
How do you end food banks? And I think that's about economics, and it's about changing our government. I want a Scottish government that does more about challenging food banks. I want a Scottish government that introduces a living wage, not just a minimum wage. The Scottish Parliament's been forced into that. And I want a British government that believes in a sense of equality, that believes in a sense of opportunity. And that means getting rid of the Tories. It also means getting rid of the SNP in Edinburgh. So you were right there. Hold on. Do you want to ask a question? Of course. So you're after this lady. Of course. You're after this lady.
No, it's a Labour MP.
Sorry, time why's your MP here?
Where is he?
Ladies, honestly, you're doing a really good job of heckling me. It's persistent, it's consistent, it's loud. But let this lady talk. Okay?
I'm still waiting for an answer.
My God,
I want an answer.
I think you'll have a long wait, pal.
I think so. You just didn't know the answer.
No.
No, you just didn't know the answer. I know. Oh yes.
Oh yes, pal, aye. I like to come along and just video them. Just video what they're saying. Put me, you can see the views you get on YouTube.
That's what happened.
I seen them, they stopped there and had a look. I think they were trying to work out who he was. See if he was important enough to come out.
First of all, I'm not going to get into your personal circumstances. I'm not going to get involved in your personal circumstances. I don't know enough about you or your family, and I don't want to talk about that on the street, and I don't want to talk about it when 3 or 4 people are filming it, and it's going to be all over the internet. Okay, so no, I mean this here and here, and you're not doing that either. I'm just saying that there's people videoing it all ends up on the internet. Hold on a second, I'm just going to answer the okay, right, so I'm not going to get into the individual situation. No, so but the general point is, of course Glasgow City Council has cut the number of people that work for it in some departments. I'm not a Glasgow City Councillor.
Guy's got a yes on his helmet.
Hold on, let me answer the lady's question. But I am pretty proud of what the Glasgow City Council does. But of course, when it comes to decisions that you've talked about, those are bloody tough decisions and they hurt people.
They're telling two different stories. Scottish press, they're saying, don't worry about NHS, everything's fine. The English press, Labour are saying they're going to privatise NHS down here. But he'll deny it. He'll deny it in Scotland.
Do you know what? I wish every yes voter was like you. Wait, hold on a sec. I genuinely wish, sir, I wish every yes voter was like you because, of course, you
Yes, exactly. And then in 2016, vote Labour.
Vote Labour 2016.
Do you know what, Tom? I would come to all of the meetings and you could kind of calm down.
But it's a hard one for me.
You can't stand there and
See the point from me, I loved it.
And I'm a collaborator and expect 4 or 5 people did. But Tom,
what ambition.
But Tom, I wish Tom, the way in which Tom carries his argument is the way in which the rest of the yes people carry their argument. Because Tom has got an argument which is about playing the ball, not the man. Whereas so many of the yes people just are interested in shouting, not enough. And so many people, the too many people who are in favour of the yes vote think what you can do is just insult the other side. And then somehow you persuade people. But on the point of the NHS, on the point of
come here, take you away, Jim. Come here, take you away. Here they come, Jim.
For the idea. What do you mean here they come, Jim?
Come here, take you away.
What?
Come here, take you away.
An ambulance, sir.
Come on. Lighten up, Jim. Lighten up. Are you getting all annoyed? Are you getting all annoyed? You're getting all annoyed. Lighten up. Lighten up. I know. Aye. Lighten up, Jim.
Is that Scotland gets £1,200 more per person invested in public services than the UK average. £1,200. And for those people who spend this afternoon shouting at me, what is the figure then, sir? So what is the figure? Not £1,200, what is it? So if it's not £1,200, what is the figure? Scotland gets £1,200 more spent on public services than the UK average. So it's rubbish. Right, sir. I said, hold on. Sir, I said £1,200 more, and you say that's rubbish. So what is the number? No, I asked you. £1,200 more. What is the number? No number. You see, what happens is, what is the number? It's not £1,200. No, I'm asking you the question, sir. You don't answer. The fact is, £1,200 more per person we get invested in our public services, and the nationalists say rubbish. But they can't come up with another figure. They can't come up with a different number. But nevertheless, doesn't shout them heckling, doesn't stop them screaming. What's your question? Ladies and gentlemen, the lady here, this lady and this lady, and then that's finished.
I don't know if I said first for closing the deal when I came, because it's really important to me that my brother and his friends are currently on dialysis and at Monklands Hospital. Gordon Brown repeatedly threatened my brother and his friends, saying we won't give blood transfusions, we won't get kidney transplants if we go with the UK, and it's a lie and it's terrible to threaten people in vulnerable situations. Do you know how bad it is for them? I'm going through testing now to give my brother my kidney. He's now developed a heart complaint, and the proceeds of that because it's a serious illness. And these people, Gordon Brown is on the television. Do you know what that's doing to people's lives when it's a down and out lie, Jim? It's no fair and it's no right. Answer that, please.
Well, again, this lady here talked about social work, and I'm sure you wouldn't want me when it's live on the internet. I'm not going to talk about I'm not going to talk about your brother's health. That wouldn't be right for me to do. Hold on a second. You love your brother and you would do anything for your brother, in the same way that we would all do everything and anything for our brothers or our sisters. Of course you would. So I'm not going to get involved in that. But the point is, you started off with a joke, and now you've just turned into a serial heckler. Let me answer the lady's question. So I'm not going to get involved in the kind of situation with you and your family. But what Gordon Brown was pointing out, which I think is fair enough, is that it's part of the United Kingdom at the moment. Hold on a second. What Gordon Brown has said is that it's part of the United Kingdom. We benefit from being part of a united system. A united system when it comes to our currency, a united system when it comes to our foreign relations, when it comes to our armed forces, and also when it comes to the issue of transplants and healthcare without any borders or barriers. Now the chief executive of the agency has said that these are sorts of things we would have to work out if we become independent and we would come to some sort of solution. So this isn't about scaremongering, of course. Despite you calling me a collaborator. Yeah, before you,
that was after that I said that because I was getting a wee bit annoyed.
4 or 5 of your friends joined in. I can understand why you're anxious.
My brother and all his friends over there are absolutely destroying these things. Right, what I'm going to say is because I'm going through this situation, I'm speaking to every transplant team as I go, and they've all reassured me that the kidney director and all the transplant directors, this is not true, that the cross-border will still continue the same as the way it is just now, plus the fact the Scottish people donate more organs per head of population than blood in the rest of the UK. It's a two-way thing.
Well, I'm delighted to be an organ donor. So are you. So we can all do whatever's necessary to help.
Jim, was that scaremongering then? Was that scaremongering?
Gordon Brown's not lying. We benefit from the UK system at the moment. And the fact is we benefit from a UK system at the moment. And there's all sorts of things we benefit from a UK system at the moment. There are risks too. I mean, the fact is we benefit from a UK system of a common currency. We benefit from a UK system of a common armed forces. And I don't see the logic of leaving those things either. And what was your question? We'll finish with this. The lady here asked a different question. So I'm going to encourage everyone who asked the question.
Jackie, see you later.
These questions. I'm going to make a chat afterwards, so don't go to another meeting next. But the lady here said, on the first debate, Alex Salmond wasn't able to say what the currency would be, or his plan B on the currency. Now, the fact was, the lady here. You started off kind of the most reasonable, and now you're just kind of shouting and screaming about everything.
The lady asked a good question. Let's hear the answer. What's your answer then?
The lady asked about the time and what currency would be used in an independent Scotland. And response. Why don't you say we step to that side, sir? If you're getting that agitated, you're shouting for me. I don't mind you shouting at me. Just calm down a wee bit. Now, the lady asked, let me just calm down a wee bit. The lady asked, what would the currency be in an independent Scotland? And none of us know. That's the truth. The fact is, Alex Salmond couldn't tell Scotland what the currency would be in an independent Scotland. The lady here with my flag in her hand says we're going to have the pound. Do you know what? We're going to have the pound. Why can't Alex Salmond answer that question? Alex Salmond has had 8 decades as a party, 7 years as a government, and 2 years in the campaign, and you cannot tell us what Plan B and the currency would be. Now you've got to know, after independence, what currency would you be spending in the spa or the card factory here in Wishaw? A primary school kid would expect to know what currency we would use in an independent Scotland. The fact is,